Hey Emma, Miss Pam. I'm going to be doing a few of your reading lessons with you this week. So I know yesterday we took a picture walk through your book and I read it out loud to you. So today what I want us to do is to read our book together, and we're also going to do some highlighting of some special words that I would like to talk to you about, and practice reading and understanding their meaning. So if you would, go ahead and get you a highlighter. And if you don't have a highlighter nearby, you can maybe get a light colored marker. I'll give you just a second to get that together in your book. And what I'd like for us to do first is just open our book to this page where you see words to know. Now there are 6 words that we're going to talk about and highlight together. The first word I already highlighted, and I'd like for you to do the same, and that is the word coat. Coat. Now you're probably thinking, Miss Pam, I know what a coat is. We wear a coat when it's cold outside. But this time, the word coat is going to be used differently in our story. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that as we read. The second word I want you to highlight is hoof. Hoof. The third word I would like for you to highlight is pronounced stables. Can you say that with me? Stables. So let's repeat these 3 words together. Coat, hoof, stables. Now let's go to this column. We have the word S-T-A-L-L. And that word is pronounced stall. Stall. So we have an S-T blend and the word all. Put it together and we get stall. The next word I want you to highlight begins with a 3-letter blend. S-T-R. Str. And then we're going to add on the short E, stretch. And we're going to pronounce that C-H at the end. Stretch. And our very last word that Miss Pam just highlighted, that you need to highlight as well, is pronounced watch. Watch. Now I want you to notice in the word stretch and watch, the last 3 letters are the same. T-C-H. T-C-H. But you know what? We don't hear the T. We just hear the C and the H. Ch. Now, the word watch, we know, can be used in 2 ways, like a watch on our wrist to tell time, or we can watch something with our eyes. So depending on how we use it in a sentence, we will understand the meaning. So let's repeat our words again together. Coat, hoof, stables, stall, stretch, and watch. All right, so let's close our book and let's point to the title, starting with the word I. I work at the stables. And there is one of our words to know. Now, if you remember, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. The picture on the front is a barn, and this is where the horses live. And they live in what is called a stable. So it's like their little house. Let's go ahead and turn our page over. And it says, I work at the stables. And here we have a picture of a girl at the barn with her horse. Now, our focus of the book is to find out, how do people take care of horses? That's our main question. So what I'd like for you to do is keep turning your page until you see this picture. And down at the corner, it should say page 3. Can you see that? Page 3. Let me zoom back down just a little bit. There we go. All right, let's put our finger on the word my. And we're going to read this together, Emma. Are you ready? Here we go. My name is Aria. I work at the stables. This is my horse. His name is Duke. Now what I'd like for you to do is get your highlighter and let's highlight the word stables, since that's one of our words to know. And let's go ahead and highlight the word Duke. I think that's important because Duke is the name of her horse. So we have Aria and Duke, and we know that they work at the stables. All right, let's turn our page. The next page is page 4. Now, if you notice, Aria has a brush in her hand and she's brushing her horse, Duke. Let's read what the sentence says. Now, we have that word watch, so let's go ahead before we read it and highlight it. All right, let's read it together. Watch me brush Duke's coat. There's one of our words. Let's go ahead and highlight that one. So we have the word watch and coat highlighted. Now we know that she has a brush in her hand, okay? So that's used as a noun, holding the brush, it's a thing, but we can also the word brush can be used as a verb, an action word. Watch me brush Duke's coat. It's like when you're brushing your hair or brushing your teeth. You're using a movement to brush something. And that coat on Duke is actually his fur. Okay, let's turn the page. You should be on page 5, Emma. Now, if you notice, Aria has picked up Duke's foot. But instead of calling it a foot, we are going to highlight this last word before we read it. Hoof. Because that's one of our words to know. And then I want you to also highlight the word watch again. All right, you ready to read it? Let's read it together. Watch me clean Duke's hoof. Now, if you look closely at your picture, she is picking out a lot of dirt from his hoof. Page 6. Before we read this page, let's get our highlighter. And I'd like for you to highlight the word watch and the last word, which is stall. Stall. All right, let's get our reading finger. Let's read it together. Watch me clean Duke's stall. And this is the stall where Duke lives. It's like a room, like your bedroom in a house. This is Duke's stall in the stable. You have to clean all the yucky up and put it in the wheelbarrow and take it away so that he has a nice clean stall. Page 7. Let's go ahead and get our highlighter, and I want you to highlight the first word, watch, and then I want you to skip over the word me and highlight the word stretch, because stretch is also one of our words to know. Aria looks like she is doing some exercises with Duke's leg. Let's read our sentence together. Watch me stretch Duke's leg. I'm thinking right now, as I continue reading, that it takes a lot of responsibility to take care of a horse. Before we read, let's go ahead and highlight the word watch. And even though the very last word that I want you to highlight was not in our words to know, I want you to highlight that word anyway. Ride. R-I-D-E. And you can tell Aria is on top of her Duke. And let's read our sentence together. Watch me take Duke for a ride. And I love that she's wearing her helmet. Safety first whenever you get on a horse. All right. So we're going to highlight 3 words on page 9 before we read it, Emma. So I want you to highlight the word watch. And then I want you to go all the way to the end and highlight this word. That word is friend. And look, I found a spelling word. Together. Let's go ahead and highlight that word since it's a spelling word. I love it when we find spelling words in our reading. So it looks like Duke is with a friend. Let's read our sentence. Watch Duke and his friend play together. They look like they're having a good time. So just like people, animals like to have friends as well. All right, before we read on page 10, it's kind of hard to see. Get your highlighter out. I want you to highlight the word watch. And then I want you to highlight the word at the end over here. Starts with an A. And then the very last word of the sentence, it starts with a D. This word, and it's probably been a while since we've talked about it, is pronounced around. Around. And the last word in the sentence is dirt. D-ert. Okay, let's let's read together. Watch Duke roll around in the dirt. I bet Arya's thinking now he's got to have a bath. And on page 11, I want you to highlight the word watch and the last word that starts with a P. Now, this word matches this picture. Now, you're probably looking at that and you're thinking, oh, that's a bucket with Duke's name on it. Well, another word for bucket is pail. Can you say that with me, Emma? Pail. Let's read this together. Watch me feed Duke from his pail. And I think this might be our last or next to last page. It looks like Arya might be getting ready to leave because she's giving him a kiss goodbye. So let's go ahead and highlight the word watch. And let's read our sentence. Watch me give Duke a goodbye kiss. Goodbye, Duke. And that's the end of our book. All right, good job, Emma, at reading your book. Now, I want to do an activity with you. So I would like for you to get out this sheet that Miss Hannah put in your packet. It looks just like this. It has 4 sentences. And now I would like for you to get a pencil. And right where it says name, I want you to go ahead and write your name. Emma R. All right, so now we're going to do 2 things on this paper. Now, you're going to need also 2 different colored crayons, or you can use 2 different markers, or 2 different colored pencils. I'll let that be your choice. I'm going to choose colored pencils because I know that they don't bleed through the paper. So I'm going to choose a red one and a blue one. Now, our first lesson that we're going to do together, Emma, is we're going to read each of these sentences. And we're going to talk about the 2 parts of a sentence. Now, if you remember back before spring vacation, when we were working in our grammar books, we were talking about declarative sentences. A declarative sentence, as you know, has 2 parts. It has a naming part and a telling part, and it always has an end mark of a period. Now, the naming part, if you remember, of a sentence is who or what the sentence is about. And then the telling part is the second part of the sentence that usually tells about the naming part. So if you look at sentence number 1, let's read it together. My name is Arya. Now I want you to choose a color. I'm going to choose blue, and I'm going to underline the naming part. The naming part is my name. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the person's name. And then in the second part, I'm going to highlight or underline, in red. Because this is telling us that the name is Aria. So we have a declarative sentence with a naming part and a telling part. So that's the first thing I want you to do. Now let's look at number 2. Watch Duke and his friend play together. Let's read it again. Watch Duke and his friend play together. Now, who is this sentence about and what? Well, we know that it's about Duke and his friend. That's who it's about. And we know that they're doing something together. What is it? You're right, they're playing together. So take your second color and underline the words play together. So our naming part of our sentence is about watching Duke and his friend, and the telling part is play together. It's telling us what they're doing. Okay, number 3. We're going to underline, well, first let's read our sentence. This is my horse. This is my horse. Now, what is it that they are naming first? They're telling us what this is. So we're going to underline this is in blue. And what are they telling us? That's right, that it's my horse. Now, number 4, our last sentence is, let's read it together. I work at the stables. I work at the stables. Now, who is this sentence about? I. That's right. So you're going to take your colored pencil and underline the naming part in blue. And what are they telling us? That she works at the stables. The telling part is work at the stables. So I'm going to underline that in red. So remember, our lesson today was not only highlighting our important vocabulary words and rereading our story, but talking about the naming part of a sentence and the telling part of a sentence. A declarative sentence has 2 parts, the naming, the telling, and it always has an end mark. Now, you have one more thing that you're going to do independently on your own. When Miss Pam finishes the lesson, I would like for you, Emma, to write these sentences over on the line below. So, as you know, a declarative sentence not only ends in a period, but it also should begin with a capital letter. And if you notice in the word my, watch, this, and I are all lowercase. So when you rewrite the sentence, I want you to write it correctly. And I want you to capitalize the beginning letter of each sentence. So instead of writing a lowercase m, like this, you're going to write an uppercase M like this. And you're going to finish your sentence. My name is Aria. Now, one more thing before we go. I'm going to highlight the word Aria, and I'm also going to highlight the word Duke. And the reason I'm going to do that is because those are the names of the people and the animal in our story. And you know that anytime someone someone spells their name, they should also use the capital letter. So I want to remind you to capitalize the A in Aria and the D in Duke because that's the name of the horse. All right, so Emma, I'd like for you to finish writing these 4 sentences correctly. And I will see you tomorrow or the next day for one more activity with our book. Hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.